Okay, let's talk about AGI, artificial general intelligence. You hear this term thrown around all the time, right? But it brings up a huge, critical question. How do we actually know if we're getting any closer to it? I mean, without some kind of a yardstick, how do we separate a real breakthrough from just, well, hype? That's exactly the challenge we're diving into.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It feels like every single week there's a new AI model that comes out and just completely shatters another benchmark. But are these systems actually developing real, flexible intelligence? Or have we just gotten incredibly good at teaching them how to ace a specific exam? Honestly, it's way harder to tell than you might think.
And that is the heart of the problem. Imagine trying to build a skyscraper without a tape measure or a level. That's kind of where the field of AI has been for a while. When you don't have a standardized ruler, you end up with this totally chaotic public conversation, where hype and real scientific progress get all jumbled up, making it almost impossible to track what's really going on.
Now, this whole no ruler thing, it's not just some abstract academic debate. It has very real consequences for the researchers doing the work, for the policymakers trying to keep up, and frankly, for all of us.
So this ambiguity, it just makes things messy for everyone. You get researchers who struggle to really communicate what they've achieved. You've got policymakers trying to regulate something they can't clearly define. It's like trying to regulate fog. And for the rest of us, it leads to this wild roller coaster of either underestimating what AI can do today or just wildly overhyping what's coming tomorrow.
Okay, so we've got this problem, this fog, but what if we could cut right through it with a clear blueprint? Well, that brings us to a potential solution that's been put forward, a whole new cognitive framework designed to do exactly that.
And that brings us to a really fascinating paper from 2026. A team over at Google DeepMind basically said, hey, we think we have a solution here. They introduced a new framework that was designed from the ground up to be the very ruler that the field has been missing.
So the paper is called Measuring Progress Toward AGI, a Cognitive Framework. And it wasn't just one person. We're talking a big, multidisciplinary team led by Ryan Burnell. Their main idea was to stop focusing on just single benchmark scores and instead create an entire system for really understanding and contextualizing what an AI is capable of.
And here's the really brilliant part. Instead of trying to invent something totally new, they looked back. They drew on decades and decades of research from psychology, from neuroscience, and cognitive science. The novel idea was to measure artificial intelligence using the incredibly rich, scientifically grounded understanding we already have of human intelligence.
So let's dive into the first piece of their solution. What they did was take this huge, kind of fuzzy idea of intelligence and break it down into 10 distinct, measurable parts.
At the very core of this whole thing is what they call the Cognitive Taxonomy. It lays out 10 key faculties that are absolutely fundamental to intelligence. It takes this huge, complex concept and splits it into manageable pieces. Everything from perception and memory, all the way to reasoning and social cognition.
And they even break it down one more level, which is pretty clever. On one side, you've got your 8 basic faculties. These are the fundamental building blocks, things like learning or attention. And on the other side, you have the 2 composite faculties, like problem solving, which are all about combining those basic skills to tackle a really complex goal. Okay, so now we have the 10 faculties. That's the what we're measuring. But the big question is, how do you actually do it? How do you take this taxonomy and turn it into a real practical evaluation of an AI?
The final product of all this is something the researchers call a cognitive profile. And honestly, the best way to think about it is, well, it's a report card for an AI. But it's not just a single letter grade. It's this incredibly detailed map of the AI's performance across all 10 faculties, showing you exactly where it shines and where it struggles, all compared to actual humans.
And getting this report card isn't just a quick guess. It's a really rigorous 3-step process. First, you test the AI on a huge range of tasks, each one designed to target one of those 10 faculties. Step 2, and this is absolutely crucial, you get a large, diverse group of humans to take the exact same tests. And then finally, you build a profile by mapping out the AI's performance against the whole spectrum of human results.
And this is what it looks like in the end. This is the cognitive profile, shown on these cool radar charts. Each chart shows you the AI's performance, that's the orange line, plotted against the range of human ability. That inner blue line, that's the median human performer. And the outer blue line represents the top-performing human. It gives you this amazing, at-a-glance picture of an AI's cognitive landscape.
And just look at the difference this kind of detail gives you. On the left, in Profile A, you've got an AI that's clearly lagging behind the average human in key areas like metacognition and reasoning. But then you look to the right, at Profile C. Here you see a hypothetical system that's, well, basically superhuman. It's outperforming almost the entire human sample across every single faculty. This framework lets us see that nuance.
So what does all of this actually mean? What's the big picture impact of being able to measure intelligence like this? Well, it's a potential game changer. It could shift the entire conversation about AGI.
You know, there's a line in the paper's conclusion that just nails it perfectly. The whole goal here is to move the conversation around AGI away from subjective claims and speculation and turn it into a grounded, measurable, scientific endeavor. It's about replacing guesswork with actual data. And think about what this unlocks. We're talking huge, practical benefits. For policymakers, it provides the concrete data they desperately need to create smart, effective rules. For researchers, it offers a clear roadmap, highlighting exactly which cognitive areas need more work. And for all of us, it grounds the public debate in facts, so we can have a much more sober and productive conversation.
So yeah, building the ruler is the first massive step, but the real challenge? That's going to be facing the results, especially on the day that an AI's report card doesn't just match ours, but surpasses it across the board. What happens then?